Hello, my name is Deanne. This is Deanne's Treasure Studio, where I read gaming content not available on Audible. Here we go, friends. Free reading 2024, Chapter 7, Spell Descriptions, Letter E. First one we have is Earthquake, Level 8, Transmutation, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer. Casting time, action. That is one action. Range 500 feet. Components VSM. A fractured rock. Duration. Concentration up to 1 minute. Choose a point on the ground that you can see within range. For the duration, an intense tremor rips through the ground in a 100-foot radius circle centered on that point. The ground there is difficult terrain. When you cast the spell, and at the end of each of your turns for the duration, each creature on the ground in the area makes a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, a creature has the prone condition, and its concentration is broken. You can also cause the effects below. Fissures. A total of 1d6 fissures open in the spell's area at the end of the turn you cast it. You choose the fissures location, which can't be under structures. Each fissure is 1d10 by 10 square feet and 10 feet wide, and it extends from one edge of the spell's area to another edge. A creature in the same space as a fissure must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or fall in it. A creature that successfully saves moves with the fissure's edge as it opens. Structures. A tremor deals 50 bludgeoning damage to any structure in contact with the ground in the area when you cast the spell, and at the end of each of your turns until the spell ends. If the structure drops to 0 hit points, it collapses. A creature within a distance from a collapsing structure equal to half the structure's height makes a dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 12d6 bludgeoning damage, has a prone condition, and is buried in the rubble, requiring DC 20 strength athletics. Check as an action to escape. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage only. Eldritch Blast. Evocation, cantrip, Warlock. Casting time, action. Range 120 feet. Components VS. Duration instantaneous. You hurl a beam of crackling energy. Make a ranged spell attack against one creature or object in range. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 force damage. Cantrip. Upgrade the spell creates 2 beams at level 5, 3 beams at level 11, and 4 beams at level 17. You can direct the beams at the same target or different ones. Make a separate attack roll for each beam. Elementalism. Transmutation, cantrip, druid, sorcerer, wizard. Casting time, 1 action. Range 30 feet. Components VS. Duration instantaneous. You exert control over the elements, creating one of the following effects within range. Beckon air. You create a breeze strong enough to ripple cloth, stir dust, rustles leaves, and close open doors and shutters, all in a 5-foot cube. Doors and shutters begin held open by someone or something aren't affected. Beckon earth. You create a thin shroud of dust or sand that covers surfaces in a 5-foot square area. Or you cause a single word to appear in writing in a patch of the dirt or sand. Beckon fire. You create a thin cloud of harmless embers and colored scented smoke in a 5-foot cube. You choose the color and the scent of the embers, can light candles, torches, or lamps in the area. The smoke scent lingers for 1 minute. Beckon water. You create a spray of cool mist that lightly dampens creatures and objects in a 5-foot cube. Alternatively, you create 1 cup of clean water, either in an open container or on a surface, and the water evaporates in 1 minute. Sculpt element. You cause dirt, sand, fire, smoke, mist, or water that can fit in a 1 cube to assume a crude shape such as that of a creature for 1 hour. Elemental weapon. Level 3 transmutation. Druid, Paladin, Ranger. Casting time, action. Range, touch. Components, VS. Duration, concentration, up to 1 hour, folks. A non-magical weapon you touch becomes a magic weapon. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. For the duration, the weapon has a +1 bonus to attack rolls and deals an extra 1d4 damage for the chosen type when it hits. Using a higher level spell slot, you can use a level spell slot. The bonus attack rolls increases by plus. Excuse me, that was not very legible. I had to look it up. Using a higher level spell slot, if you use a level 5 to 6 spell slot, the bonus attack rolls increase to +2 and the extra damage is 2d4. If you use a level 7+ slot, the bonus increases to 3 and extra damage increases to 3d4. Enhance ability. Level 2 transmutation. Bard, the cleric, druid, ranger, sorcerer, and the wizard. All of them, it seems. Casting time, action. Range, touch. Components, VSM, fur, or a feather. Duration, concentration, up to 1 hour. You touch a creature and choose strength, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. For the duration, the target has advantage on the ability checks using the chosen ability. Using a higher level spell slot, you can target 1 additional creature. For each spell slot above 2, you can choose a different ability for each target. Good, yes? Enlarge, reduce. Level 2 transmutation. Bard, druid, sorcerer, wizard. Casting time, action. Range, 30 feet. Components, VSM, a pinch of powdered iron. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. For the duration, the spell enlarges or reduces the character or a character you can see within range. See the chosen effect below. A targeted object must be neither worn nor carried. If the target is an unwilling creature, it can make a Constitution saving throw. On a successful save, the spell has no effect. Everything that the target creature is wearing and carrying changes size with it. Any item it drops returns to normal size at once. The thrown weapon or piece of ammunition returns to normal size immediately after it hits or misses the target. Enlarge, the target size increases by 1 category from the medium to large. For example, the target also has the advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. The target's attacks with the enlarged weapons or the unarmed strikes deals extra 1d4 damage on a hit. Reduce. The target size decreases by 1 category from the medium to small. Or, for example, the target also has disadvantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. The target's attacks with the reduced weapon or unarmed strikes deals 1d4 less damage on a hit. This can't reduce the damage below 1. We're moving on to ensnaring strike. Level 1 concentration or ranger. Casting time bonus action when you take immediately after hitting a creature with a weapon. Range self components V. Duration concentration up to 1 minute. As you hit the target, grasping vines appear on it, and it makes strength saving throw. A large or larger creature has advantage on this save. On a failed save, the target has a restraint condition until the spell ends. On a successful save, the vines shrivel away and the spell ends. While restrained, the target takes a 1d6 piercing damage at the start of each of its turns. The target or the creature within the reach of it can take an action to make a strength athletics check against your spell DC. On a success, the spell ends. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage increases to a 1d6 for each spell slot level above 1. Capiche? Da? We are moving on to Entangle. A level 1 concentration. Druid Ranger. Casting time 1 action. Range 90 feet. Components VS. Duration is a concentration up to 1 minute. Grasping vines spout from the ground and a 20-foot square within the range. For the duration, these plants turn the ground into an area these plants turn the ground in the area into difficult terrain. They appear when the spell ends. Each creature other than you in the area when you cast this spell must succeed on a strength saving throw or have the restraint condition until the spell ends. A restrained creature can take an action to make a strength athletics check against your spell's DC. On a success, it frees itself from the grasping plants and is no longer restrained by them. Enthrall. Level 2 enchantment. Bard Warlock. Casting time action. Range 60 feet. Components VS. Duration concentration up to 1 minute. You weave a distracting string of words, causing creatures of your choice that you can see within range to make a wisdom saving throw. Any creature you or your companions are fighting automatically succeeds on the save. On a failed save, the target has a -10 penalty to wisdom perception checks and passive perception until the spell ends. Etherealness, level 7 conjuration, bard, cleric, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. Casting time action. Range self components VS. Duration up to 8 hours. You step into a border regions of the ethereal plane where it overlaps with your current plane. You remain in the border ethereal plane for the duration. During this time, you can move in any direction. If you move up or down, every foot of movement costs an extra foot. You can perceive the plane you left, which looks gray. If you can't see anything, there's more than 60 feet away. You can't see anything that's more than 60 feet away. While on the ethereal plane, you can affect and be affected by only creatures, objects, and effects on that plane. Creatures that aren't on the ethereal plane can't perceive or interact with you unless the feature gives them the ability to. When the spell ends, you return to the place you left in the spot that corresponds with your space in the border ethereal. If you appear in an occupied space, you are shunted to the nearest unoccupied space and take the force damage equal to twice the number of feet you are moved. This spell ends instantly if you cast it while you are on the ethereal plane or a plane that doesn't border it, such as one on the outer planes. Using a higher level spell slot, you can target up to 3 willing creatures, including yourself, for each spell level above 7. The creatures must be within 10 feet of you when you cast the spell. Evard's Black Tentacles. Level 4 Conjuration Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 90 feet. Components VSM. A tentacle. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. Squirming ebony tentacles fill a 20-foot square on the ground that you can see within range. For the duration, these tentacles turn the ground into an area of difficult terrain. Each creature in that area makes a strength saving throw. On a failed save, it takes 3d6 bludgeoning damage, and it has the restrained condition until the spell ends. A creature also makes that save if it enters the area or ends its turn here. A creature makes that save only once per turn. The restrained creature can take an action to make a strength athletics check against the spell DC, ending the condition on itself on a success. Expeditious Retreat. Level 1 Transmutation. Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, bonus action. Range, self. Components, VS. Duration, concentration up to 10 minutes. You take the dash action, and until the spell ends, you can take the action again as a bonus action. Eye Bite. Level 6 Necromancy. Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range, self. Components, VS. Duration, concentration up to 1 minute. For the duration, your eyes become an inky void. One creature of your choice within 60 feet of you that you can see must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be affected by one of the following effects of your choice for the duration. On each of your turns until the spell ends, you can make a magic action to target another creature, but can't target a creature again if it succeeded on its save against the casting of the spell. Sleep. Asleep. The target has the unconscious condition. It wakes up if it takes any damage or if another creature takes an action to shake it awake. Panicked. The target has the frightened condition. In each of its turns, the frightened target must take the dash action to move away from you by the safest and shortest route available. If the target moves to a space at least 60 feet away from you, where it can't see you, this effect ends. Sickened, the target has the poisoned condition. Spells F. Fabricate. Level 4 Transmutation Wizard. Casting time 10 minutes. Range 120 feet. Components VS. Duration instantaneous. You convert raw materials into products of the same material. For example, you can fabricate a wooden bridge from a clump of trees, a rope from a patch of hemp, or clothes from a flax or woolen. Choose raw materials that you can see within range. You can fabricate a large or smaller object contained within a 10-foot cube or 8 connected by 10-foot cubes, given a significant quantity of material. If you're working with metal, stone, or another material substance, however, the fabricated object can be no larger than medium, contained within a 5-foot cube. The quality of any fabricated objects is based on the quality of the raw materials. Creatures and magical items can be created by this spell. You also can't use it to create items that require a high degree of skill, such as weapons and armor, unless you have proficiency with the type of artisan tools used to craft such objects. Fairy Fire. Level 1, Evocation, Bard Druid. Casting time, 1 action. Range, 60 feet. Components, V. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. Objects in a 20-foot cube within range or outlined in blue, green, or violet light, your choice. Each creature in a cube is also outlined if it fails a dexterity saving throw. For the duration, objects and affected creatures shed dim light in a 10-foot radius and can't benefit from the invisible condition. Attack rolls against the creature affected Attack rolls against an affected creature or object have advantage if the attacker can see it. False Life. Level 1, Necromancy, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, 1 action, range, self. Components, VSM, a drop of alcohol. Duration, instantaneous. You gain 2d4 plus 4 temporary hit points. Using a higher level spell slot, you gain 5 additional temporary hit points for each spell level above 1. Fear. Level 3, Illusion, Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range, self. Components, VSM, a white feather. Duration, concentration, up to 1 minute. Each creature in a 30-foot cone must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or drop whatever it is holding and have the frightened condition for the duration. A frightened creature takes a dash action and moves away from you by the safest route on each of its turns unless there is somehow nowhere to move. Unless there is nowhere to move. If the creature ends its turn in a space where it doesn't have a line of sight for you, the creature makes a wisdom saving throw. On a successful save, the spell ends on the creature. Feather Fall. Level 1, Transmutation, Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard. Casting time, action, which you can take when you or a creature you can see within 60 feet of you falls. Range, 60 feet. Components, VM, a small feather or piece of down. Duration, 1 minute. Choose up to 5 falling creatures within range. A falling creature's rate of descent slows to 60 feet per round until the spell ends. If the creature lands before the spell ends, the creature takes no damage from the fall, and the spell ends for that creature. Feign Death. Level 3, Necromancy, Bard, Cleric, Druid, Wizard. Casting time, action, or ritual. Range, touch. Components, VSM, a pinch of graveyard dirt. Duration, 1 hour. You touch a willing creature and put it into a catatonic state that is indistinguishable from death. For the duration, the target appears dead to the outward inspection and to spells used to determine the target's status. The target has the blinded and incapacitated conditions, and its speed is 0. The target also has the resistance to all damage except psychic damage, and it has immunity to the poisoned condition. Find familiar. Level 1, Conjuration, Wizard. Casting time, 1 hour or ritual. Range, 10 feet. Components, VSM, burning incense worth 10 plus gold pieces, which the spell consumes. Duration, instantaneous. You gain the service of a familiar, a spirit that takes an animal from you choose. Bat, cat, frog, hog, lizard, octopus, owl, rat, raven, spider, weasel, or other beast that has a challenge rating of 0. Appearing in an unoccupied space within range, the familiar has the statistics of the chosen form. See Appendix B. Through it is a celestial, fae, or fiend, your choice, instead of a beast. Your familiar acts independently of you, but it obeys your command. Telepathic connection. While your familiar is 100 feet from you, you can communicate with it telepathically. Additionally, as a bonus action, you can see through the familiar's eyes and hear what it hears until the start of your next turn, gaining the benefits of any special senses it has. Finally, when you cast a spell with a range of touch, your familiar can deliver the touch. Your familiar must be within 100 feet of you, and it must take a reaction to deliver the touch when you cast a spell. Combat. The familiar is an ally to you and your allies. It rolls its own initiative and acts on its own turn. A familiar can't attack, but it can take other actions as normal. Disappearance of the familiar. When the familiar drops to 0 hit points, it disappears. It reappears after you cast the spell again. As a magic action, you can temporarily dismiss the familiar into a pocket dimension. Alternatively, you can dismiss it forever. As a magic action, while it is temporarily dismissed, you can cause it to reappear in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. Whenever the familiar drops to 0 hit points, it disappears into the pocket dimension. It leaves behind in its space anything that it was wearing or carrying. One familiar only. You can't have more than one familiar at a time. If you cast this spell while you have a familiar, you instead cause it to adopt a new eligible form. Bind Steed, level 2, Conjuration, Paladin, casting time, action, range 30 feet, components VS, duration instantaneous. You summon an otherworldly being that appears as a loyal steed in an unoccupied space of your choice within range. This creature uses the otherworldly steed stat block. If you already have a steed from the spell, the steed is replaced by the new one. The steed resembles a large rideable animal of your choice, such as a horse, a camel, a dire wolf, an elk. Whatever you cast the spell chooses the steed's creature type, celestial, fae, or fiend, which determines certain traits in its stat block. Combat. The steed is an ally to you and your allies. In combat, it shares your initiative count, and it functions as a controlled mount while you ride it. As defined in the rules on the mount combat, if you have the incapacitated condition, the steed takes its turn to immediately after yours and acts independently, focusing on protecting you. Disappearance of the steed. The steed disappears if it drops to 0 hit points or if you die. When it disappears, it leaves behind anything it was wearing or carrying. If you cast the spell again, you decide whether you summon the steed or it that disappeared or a different note. Using higher level spell slots. When using the spell slots level for the spell's level in the stat block. Otherworldly steed. Okay, we have the large celestial, Fey or Fiend, your choice, neutral. AC 10 plus 1 per spell level. Hit points 5 plus 10 per spell level. The steed has a number of hit points, dice, d10s equal to the spell's level. Speed 60, flies 60 feet, requires level 4 plus spell. Then you have here, we have the strength 18, dex 12, constitution 14, and 18 is 4, 12 is 1, 14 is 2, save 4, 1 and 2, intelligence 6, -2, wisdom 12, +1, +1, charisma 8, -1, -1. Senses, passive perception 11. Languages, telepathy 1 mile, works only with you. CR is 0 hit points. The PB and equals your proficiency bonus. Traits, life bond when you regain 10 hit points from a level 1 plus spell. The steed regains the same number of hit points if you are within 5 feet. Actions, otherworldly slam, melee attack roll. Bonus equals to your spell attack modifier. Reach is 5 feet. Hit 1d8 plus the spell's level of radiant, celestial, psychic, fey, necrotic, fiend damage. Bonus actions. Fell Glare. Fiend only, recharges after a long rest. Wisdom saving throw DC equals your spell save DC. One creature within 60 feet of the steed can see failure. The target has the frightened condition until the end of your next turn. Fey Step. Fey only, recharges after a long rest. The steed teleports along with its rider to an unoccupied space of your choice up to 60 feet away from itself. Healing Touch, celestial only, recharges after a long rest. One creature within 5 feet of the steed regains a number of hit points equal to 2d8 plus the spell's level. Find the path. Level 6, Divination. Bard, Cleric, Druid. Casting time, 1 minute. Range, South. Components, VSM, a set of divination tools such as cards or runes worth 100 plus gold pieces. Duration, concentration up to 1 day. You magically sense the more direct physical route to a location you name. You must be familiar with the location, and the spell fails if you name a destination on another plane of existence. And a moving destination, such as a mobile fortress, or an unspecified destination, such as a green dragon's lair. For the duration, as long as you are on the same plane of existence as the destination, you know how far it is and in what direction it lies. Whenever you face a choice of paths along the way, there you know which path is the most direct. Find traps. Level 2, Divination, Cleric, Druid, Ranger. Casting time, action, range 120 feet. Components, VS. Duration, instantaneous. You sense any traps within range that is within line of sight. A trap for the purpose of this spell includes any object or mechanism that was created to cause damage or other danger. Thus, the spell would sense with the alarm or the glyph of warding spell for a mechanical pit trap. But it would not reveal a natural weakness in the floor, an unstable ceiling, or a hidden sinkhole. This spell reveals that the trap is present, but not its location. You do learn the general nature of the danger posed by the trap you sense. Finger of Death. Level 7 Necromancy. Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 60 feet. Components VS. Duration instantaneous. You unleash negative energy towards a creature you can see within range. The target makes a Constitution saving throw, taking 7d8 plus 30 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. A humanoid killed by this spell raises at the start of your next turn as a zombie. See Appendix B that follows your verbal orders. Fireball. Level 3 Evocation Sorcerer Wizard. Casting time, action. Range 150 feet. Components VS. M. A ball of bat and guano and sulfur. Duration instantaneous. A bright streak flashes from your point you choose within range, then blooms into a low roar into a fiery explosion. Each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on that point makes a dexterity saving throw, taking 8d6 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried starts burning. Using a higher level spell slot, the damage increases by 1d6 each spell slot above 3. I'm going to repeat that. The damage increases by 1d6 each spell slot above 3. We will continue the Fs on the next video. Thank you for your likes and subscription. I trust that you find this useful for whatever your reasons, purposes. Stay tuned for the F's spells description. And until next time, next time.